everybody, welcome to Jacob's Quest, and tonight I just came back from watching Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny twice. I saw it twice tonight. I saw it at 7 o'clock. I saw it at 10:45, whatever time that was. Yeah, I gotta say right up front, I loved this movie. Okay, it met where my expectations were at. Okay, and I'm gonna repeat that. It met where my expectations were at, and so I loved it. Okay. Now I am going to talk about some of my criticisms, but I want to say up front, overall, I really loved this movie. I feel like it is very much worthy of being in the same series that we've seen so far, all the other 4 movies. It's very much worthy of being part of that, that saga there, right? Now we're going to get into some criticisms, and we're going to get into some positives, and then, we're going to go full spoilers. But just so you know up front, I had a great time. It captures a lot of that, classic Indiana Jones adventure. It does kind of run on the long side, but we'll get into all that. Okay, so there you go. Those are my opinions up front. It's better than Crystal Skull. It is. Anyways, here we go. Full spoilers. Here we go. All right. So my criticisms right now. Yes, it does feel its length. I do think that they probably could have taken out a good 15 minutes of this, and it would have quickened the pace a little bit more. They have a lot of stuff that they do in this, especially in the third act. A lot of stuff happens. And they take some swings in that third act, and I think this is going to be one moment where a lot of people, you're either going to roll with this or you're not. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna spoil it up front. Here we go. Spoilers. In the third act, they activate the Dial of Destiny, and they find a time flux, or whatever they call it, and they fly through it in a plane, and they end up going back to ancient Roman times, and they meet Archimedes, and there's a whole battle going on. And yeah, like they are literally in the past. They have time traveled. Indiana Jones meets Archimedes. It happens. Okay. Now they are only there for this final third act here in this very ending little battle, and they don't stay there for long, But I do feel like this is one of those moments where it's like, if you go watch all the movies, that this is a world where supernatural stuff exists, right? Like we very much established that, yeah, the Ark of the Covenant has, God's wrath in it. Like the spirits come out. We know that the Holy Grail actually does have healing properties and can make, we saw a crusader knight, hundreds of years old, still alive, and you know what I mean, in the Last Crusade. So this world has stuff like this happen. We saw a damn alien or interdimensional being, you know what I mean? So we know that this is real. Now it's a big swing to not just establish that time travel exists, because they do this earlier in the movie. They show that Archimedes' skeleton has a modern day, 60s modern day watch on it, they're establishing okay, so the time travel thing did work, but to actually show it, to actually see Indiana Jones with a bunch of Roman warriors and Archimedes himself, and they sit there and they talk, so that is gonna be something I feel like some people are not gonna be able to accept, but I was totally down for it, you know what I mean? Because I just did a major rewatch of all the movies, and I'm like, yeah, aliens, the blood of Christ, the Kali Ma and all that, all of that's real. It's all real. The gods are real. Ancient curses are real. It all actually exists. Aliens are real. It's all real, So yes, the time travel thing, going back in time, it totally happens. But like I said, some people are gonna be like, that's too far. It's way too far. Even though I don't think so. I think I think this movie, or this series, the first movie in this franchise starts or ends with them seeing goddamn ghosts, right? So what is too far? What does that mean? Anyways, so there's that, right? I think that's going to be one of the major things. The second thing about this is that, and I think some people are going to get a little angry at this, because Indiana Jones is older and his life has moved on, and the thing about it is that they don't treat Indiana Jones's life as if he is like a superhero, or rather would I say, they don't treat him like a mythological figure. They treat him like a real human being, in that his life has tragedies and struggles, and he gets older, and he moves slower, and things hurt, and you know what I mean, like he has to make difficult decisions, and so the major, at least one of the major tragedies that we get revealed about halfway through is that Mutt Williams, Shia LaBeouf's character from Crystal Skull, he joined the war, I suppose Vietnam at this point, and he has died. He is dead. Indiana Jones's son that we learned in the last movie, he has died. Now this movie takes place about like a decade later, right? So they got to spend about 10 years together, but at some point he went to war and he died, and that's like, some people are gonna hate that, like his life had so much tragedy in it because he lost his father, which everyone will, that sucks to hear, but everyone will. And now he lost his son, and it's like, yeah, I mean, that's life. Like, shit happens, really sucky, shitty things happen, and I kind of appreciate that. Like, the whole thing of this movie is like, it's all about going back in time and trying to like undo mistakes of the past. Like, that's what the villain wants, right? The villain thinks that Hitler did everything wrong, so he wants to essentially become the new Hitler and do everything correct because he's from the future, right? Like, that's what he wants to accomplish. In Indiana Jones, they even ask him like, well, what would you do? He's like, well, I would probably stop my son from joining the war, and that, like, because I would just tell him that if you go to war, you're gonna die, and so I think a lot of this is like, getting over tragedy and just, reconciling relationships. And this is the other thing that they kind of do, where they could have ended this movie one way and they decided to go a different way, and I think I prefer the way they ended it. So when they time travel back to ancient Roman times, they meet Archimedes, and Indiana Jones, he has been shot at this point, right? Like, he got shot a little while ago, and he's kind of just slowly been bleeding out this whole time. So they're here, and Phoebe Waller-Bridge's character, she's just like, look, you have to come back. You have to come back with us because you're bleeding. They don't have hospitals here, really. So, like, you know what I mean? Like, you gotta come back. And Indiana is so amazed by what he's seeing around him. He's seeing actual history as it's happening. And of course, that's who he is. It makes sense that he would want to stay here. He's like, this is history. Look at this. Look at everything that we're seeing right now. This is Archimedes. He's in front of us. This is not me in some tomb digging up something or trying to solve some puzzle. It's like, this is real. This is happening right now. So for a moment, it really felt like they were gonna leave him here, because he puts on the hat and the music swells and he's like, look, I have to stay here. I have to do this. Look at this, right? And it kind of makes sense for his character to be like, I want to be part of history. I want to be in history, right? But Phoebe Waller-Bridge is like, yeah, I have to do this too. And she punches him and he blacks out. And then he wakes up in modern day. So basically, it's like he wanted to stay in the past and just stay with Archimedes and the Romans. And she punches him, and so now she, they're modern day. He gets healed because they have modern medicine to help his gun wound, his gunshot wound. And then they end it with him and Marion. They reconcile, and they kind of get back together, and they had been like filing for divorce because of course they lost their son, and like that's it was kind of the Han and Leia type thing, right? But they reconcile, and they just kind of make up, and like I feel like this was a much better way to end it. Instead of leaving him in the past, it's like let him have a life, you know what I mean? So like it's very much like he's his adventuring days are definitely over. This feels like an ending for him, but that doesn't mean it has to end with him dying, or it has to end with him just like retreating into the past, right? Because that's essentially what that would have been. If they had done that, it would have just been him like just escaping from everything that happened in his life and just living in the past, literally living in the past, you know. So I do appreciate that they had him like, no, you're gonna move forward, you're gonna live whatever remainder of the life you got. You know, Marion is still alive, you know what I mean? Like, get, you know, make up, get back together, like, be happy, you know what I mean? And like that's just kind of where we end things, and I think it's just a really great point to end it there, you know, because he still has his friend Salah and his family, and you know, he's got his goddaughter now, and he's, you know, so like he's made a little crew for himself, you know. He still has something worth living for here. So yeah, just overall, I loved everything that they did here with the ending. You know, like, again, some people are gonna say it went way too far with the Roman battle and actually seeing Archimedes and like having all that really happen, you know. I think some people are not gonna be able to, you know, I guess take that, but yeah, I don't know, it totally worked for me. Now the villains, I thought the villain was great because, you know, I on one hand, this definitely does have some of the same things where like there's still not a whole lot of blood and sweat and gore like there were in the original movies. This has a little bit of the Crystal Skull thing going on where like sometimes it feels a little sterile, but on the other hand, the villains in this movie are not afraid to just kill characters that we spend some time with. You know, I think one of the most prominent ones is these diver characters. Like, we're with these divers, and they're going down and they're looking for this piece of the, you know, the thing that they're all after, the MacGuffin. And you know, first we see everyone on his ship gets killed, and it's Antonio Banderas, I think, actually playing this character. But you know, it's like one of Indiana Jones's old friends, which, by the way, I saw someone complain that this movie has Indy introduce a bunch of friends that he had, like old friends that we've never seen before. And I just like to point out that happens, I'm pretty sure that happens in every single movie. Every single movie introduces a new old friend that he's been on all these adventures with that we've never met before. I'm pretty sure they all do that. So that seems like an odd thing. Like Short Round, you know, where did Short Round go? What happened to Short Round? We never see him after that movie, but he supposedly like had been with Indy for years, you know. So like, I don't know. Anyways, tangent. It's a tangent, but anyways, yes. The diver guy gets shot by the bad guys, and like not even just like off screen, like, oh, he's kind of shot. It's like, no, they shoot him. They show like he's got hit with the bullet, and there's a little bit of blood there where he got shot, and then he kneels over dead, and I'm like, oh damn. And even Indy gets shot, and it's like, I guess what I mean is like, it doesn't feel as sanitized, you know what I mean? Like, it feels like, oh, there's gravity to this. A person just got shot, you know. And even as they're leaving, like Phoebe Waller-Bridge is like celebrating, like, yeah, we escaped, we did it. And then he's like, one of my old friends just died, you know. It's like, so don't forget the gravity of this situation, you know. Like, these villains are actually gonna kill people, you know. They're not just here to be like, you know, I guess what you would say maybe Cate Blanchett's character kind of was with the Russians in Crystal Skull, where they're a little bit Saturday morning cartoony, you know, where like it doesn't feel like they're that much of a real threat. These ones actually felt like, oh yeah, like if these guys are chasing you in real life, it's kind of terrifying, because I'm like, yeah, they're gonna kill people. They're not just kind of chasing you for the adventure. It's like, no, they're trying to murder you. Anyways, yeah, so just, yeah, overall, I really enjoyed this movie. Let's see, the de-aging thing. So the de-aging, I think the de-aging looked really good at parts. There were some moments when he's moving and when he's doing certain facial expressions, you can definitely see where it's like, okay, the face kind of looks like it's got like a blur filter effect going on at some points. Look, I don't go into de-aging things expecting it to look realistic. You know what I mean? Like I know my brain is going to be able to say like that's not entirely human, right? You know, so like it doesn't bother me, maybe because I was anticipating it and I was like, yeah, it's a de-aging effect. It's not going to be 100%, you know. The only time I think we'll ever get to 100% de-aging is if they don't say it, they don't announce it. It's not like this big spectacle that they put on in the marketing, being like, "Ooh, look, we de-aged this person." I think when we know it's successful is when we don't know what's happening. You know, it's like when we see something and they don't announce it, and then we don't even realize that we're looking at a de-aged effect. Like that's when you know that it would be, you know, 100%. I would say a lot of these moments look really good. You know, like when he's turning his head and looking around, I'm like, okay, this looks really good. I think it is, you know, certain facial expressions don't, you know, something was going on there. I don't quite know, but something like, okay, I can kind of tell that this is starting to look a little, you know, computery. But overall, it didn't bother me at all. I mean, it's, you know, it's a little, 12-minute prologue to the story. I did not matter at all to me. I mean, the sequence was great and amazing, and it was definitely like your classic indie. And if anything, the fact that they put this here was kind of to display how, like, hey, this was the Indiana Jones you know, or you knew, and then this is Indiana Jones now. Like, he is older, you know, he's a full decade older than he was in Crystal Skull. Life happened, tragedy happened, you know, like he's you know, like he's not in a good place right now. So anyways, yeah, let's see, what am I forgetting? Oh, so there were a couple of, and I think this might be something else that some people get upset by, but this is kind of a more silly thing. There were some things like old tropes in all the Indiana Jones movie that I don't think this one actually did. For example, this movie I don't believe starts with like a mountain, you know, like they all start with something that resembles a mountain. And then I think it was the Paramount logo that kind of like fades in and out from that, and then like the movie starts with that mountain structure. This movie doesn't do that. You know, even Crystal Skull had the was it the CGI groundhogs in their groundhog hill. This movie doesn't open with that. And also, if I could change like one genuine thing about this movie, it would be this. The villain does not get a super gory, over the top death. You know, like that's kind of a staple in all these movies, is that the villain is gonna die in some really gory, kind of messed up way. And you know, he gets in a big plane crash, and they do show his face afterwards, but it's not like a close up, and it's only for like a second. Like you can see his face is all burnt up and crispy, right? But you know, yeah, you're used to the main villain, like their heads explode, or their face like completely melts off, or they, you know, they get eaten by crocodiles after they fall down and hit the wall of a stone cliff. You know, like you're used to seeing kind of gruesome ends for a lot of these people. This one didn't really, you know, it was a pretty bad plane crash, but it, you know, you didn't see like his face burning or anything, you know. So I would like change that. I'm like, okay, come on, that's a staple right there. You gotta have him have like a really messed up death. But anyways, yeah. So other than some of those like little, like, you know, kind of little staples like that, where it's like you gotta open on a mountain shot, you gotta open here, you know. Yeah, I don't know. I really, really appreciated this. And some people are not going to appreciate it in the same way, because they don't like the fact that Mutt Williams died, or that, you know, his life kind of got, you know, bogged down with tragedy later on, or they're going to think the time travel went too far. You know, but overall, like, I don't know. I had a really great time. I feel like, you know, having him move slower, and he's, you know, he still does the action he can. They don't even like focus on it over, you know, like too much, right? Like there's like one scene where he's trying to climb a wall, and you know, he's like, he mentions like, everything hurts, my joints hurt, I'm trying to climb this cliff wall, and I'm in my 80s, you know, like, but they don't like, you know, go over that over and over and over again. Phoebe Waller-Bridge's character, I thought she was really great. You know, like she adds in this level of energy that I think the movie needs. because Harrison is playing a slower, you know, older Indy, right? And he is. And by the way, some people are gonna get mad at that, which I think is silly, right? Like, some people want him to be the Indy that they know from, but it's like, he's 80. Do you want them to just ignore that he's 80? Do you want, like you gotta, you know, I appreciate that they made that like part of the story. It's like, he is getting old, or he is old, not even just getting old, he is old, he's an old man, you know. So just, I don't know, I really appreciated that. Now, I will say, probably another criticism would be like, and this kind of just goes hand in hand with the runtime kind of feeling, like, okay, it is, I think the second act starts to like really stretch on a little bit too long, but I think this is also because we have characters here that I don't think we entirely needed. Phoebe Waller-Bridge's character, what is her name? Is it Helena? I think it's Helena. Anyways, she has a sidekick of her own. She essentially has like a little short round character, and I don't think this character needed to be in there. I mean, like, at one point he serves the purpose of being the one who's kidnapped and being the one that they, you know, they get all their information from because they have him. But I don't know, it did kind of feel like you didn't necessarily need him to be in this movie. And also, there is, early on, there is a CIA lady who's working with the bad guys, but it's before they like go full Nazi. That's that's the other thing, is that like they start off as actually employees of the US government, because, you know, the whole Project Paperclip, where you had Nazi scientists working with us to build the nuclear bomb and do the whole space race thing, and, or not the nuclear bomb, sorry, the space race, the you know, get us to the moon, right? Which is kind of like what this movie opens with. But they focus a lot on this CIA agent lady, you know, and like she's working with this doctor who of course goes full Nazi later. And they give her a lot of screen time, and then she dies about, like, at the end of the first act, she gets shot and she's dead. And then the movie kind of, you know, and that's when they go full Nazi again. They literally, at one point, they literally put on the armbands because they think they're going back in time. So it's interesting, like, things like that. I'm like, this sidekick didn't need to be there. This agent lady probably didn't need to be in the movie. You know, you could have shaved this down by 10-15 minutes. And I think it would have been a smoother ride. But anyways, yeah, I think that's pretty much it for my criticisms of this movie. Overall, you know, if I'm thinking like, hey, look, Indiana Jones is old. He's going to go on one last adventure. And then this is kind of just it for him, right? Like, let's just do this one more time. Especially because, you know, not everyone loved Crystal Skull. A lot of people don't even, you know, they like to pretend like it doesn't exist, right? So I do feel like this is a better end cap for like his life. You know, some people, you know, and this is kind of where we get into a much larger conversation. Some people want Last Crusade to have been his last adventure, right? They want to be like, look, he's still young and his dad's still alive, and they ride off into the sunset together, and then that's it, right? And, you know, I guess my only thing about that is that, like, okay, but, you know, this is an adventure serial series, right? Like, you want to make more installments, and, you know, if there was ever gonna be a time where you really do, like, what is the ending of this character, you know, it would be this, right? Like, this is the ending. Not that he has to die, but just that he, you know, like what is his end of life thing gonna be? You know, just like he's with Marion now, and he lost a son, and they had to get past that, and now he has like this new little family that he's cultivated, right? So I don't know, I think it works really well, and I'm happy with this. I'm totally happy with this. Now, you know, are they gonna ever come out and be like, we're gonna make an Indy 6? I don't think that they should with Harrison Ford. I think this should be it, right? Like all the justifications of like the way this ended and making this movie in the first place, it's like, let's make one really for real the last movie, you know? And I'm happy with this being it, you know? So if they want to make more Indiana Jones stuff, I'm totally down for a short round miniseries on Disney Plus. Like, just go ahead and, you know what I mean? Like what's I don't remember his name, the actor's name, but you know, he won a bunch of Oscars after what is it? Everything Always All at Once. Anyways, you know, he won a bunch of awards for that, and you know, him and Harrison Ford have been on red carpets everywhere. If you're ever going to do a short round TV show or a short round movie, now's the time to do that. You know what I mean? Like don't wait another decade. Like, do the short round stuff now, because you know, they have not said anything about like where he's been or what he's doing. And if you want to get Harrison to do like a small cameo where like he calls him on the phone or something in those movies, again, now's the time to do that. Don't wait a decade. So anyways, that's just my opinion on, like, if you wanted to continue the franchise, go a short round. You can do small Harrison cameos every once in a while. I think that would work fine, you know, like have it be in the, you know, well, I guess it'd have to still be in the 60s, I suppose, huh? Whatever else is happening in the 60s, let it be then, you know. Anyways, yeah, just, I had a really great time, guys. I think, you know, I saw one person say that they loathed this movie, and I haven't, you know, they didn't say why they didn't like it. So I can only guess it's one of the reasons that I said, you know, maybe they don't like that Mutt died, or that he and Marion almost, you know, got a divorce or something. But I don't know, guys. If anyone's out here gonna be like, oh, this movie ruined the franchise, you're being ridiculous. Like, I wouldn't trust anything that person says. So yeah, I think this is a worthy closing chapter. I don't think this is going to end up being anyone's favorite Indiana Jones, but you know, that's such a tall order to even try to accomplish, you know, like how would you just you know, like, you don't go into this being like, this better be number one. It's like, there's that was never going to happen, you know that. But yeah, this is definitely a worthy entry. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Did any of those things bother you? The Mutt dying, going to the past, almost getting a divorced, you know, seeing Indiana be an 80-year-old because he is, you know, like, did any of that stuff bother you? Or like, are you totally down with like what this movie was about and the whole, like, all the themes that were going on with this? Yeah, let me know, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.